This marks the first video where we're going to be talking about hip-hop artist Cardi B and her latest album, Invasion of Privacy. So far, this album has broken many records and it features very popular songs. For this video, we're going to be talking about one of the top-rated tracks, which is entitled I Do, featuring artist SZA. For those of you who are wondering how we found out this is one of the top-rated tracks, make sure to check out our last video. Anyways, the song I Do is very catchy, and it centers around this theme of I can do whatever I want. Well, alrighty then. So I Do is actually the last track on Cardi B's album, and it has very catchy one-liners. For example, at one point, Cardi B says her private area is so good she says her own name during sex. Wow. At another part in the song, Cardi B says, and I quote, "I'm provocative, it's my prerogative." Wow. I guess Cardi B was channeling her inner Bobby Brown there. It's my prerogative. However, in this song, the line that stood out to me the most comes from verse 1, where Cardi B says, "For the record, I set records, record sales. I like N-words that been in and out of jail." First off, here at Ruining Your Faves, we try to keep things family friendly, so we don't curse, even though we might have some adult themes at times. Also, we don't use the N-word, and if you want to find out more about why, then make sure to check out a post we wrote about it on the K3mistry Productions weblog called Tit for Tat. We'll leave a link for it in the description down below. Anyways, I wanted to look at this whole being incarcerated and how that affects relationships. So I went and did some research, and I found that for men specifically, if they have a criminal history, once they get married, they're less likely to be involved in crime. On the other hand, for men that are incarcerated, they are less likely to get married in the future. A study by Robert Appel looked at incarceration and how that affects relationships in more detail. In this study, it utilized the National Longitudinal Survey of Youth from 1997. This study involved around 9,000 youth that were born between 1980 and 1984, and these youth were white, black, and Hispanic. The age range for these youths was about 12 to 32 years old, and the study found that incarceration is highly disruptive for cohabitating relationships and marital unions. To be more specific, if you're incarcerated, it negatively impacts you if you are in an existing relationship or if you are already married. And that makes sense because when you're let out of prison or jail, there is an adjustment period. This study also found that for those who are no longer incarcerated, they tended to get out of their relationships. This study also found that when you're released from prison or jail, the disruptive effect can happen almost immediately, and it can persist for at least 5 years. That means if you're no longer incarcerated, you could be dealing with the impact of this for at least 5 years. Do you know how long that is? Regarding race, Appel found that incarceration is associated with long and short-term partnership instability among white respondents, both male and female, as well as black males. For Hispanic males and females, the study found that incarceration affected them in the long term. However, for black or African American women, the study found that incarceration did not affect them very much in the long term at all. This was different from all other races or groups seen within the study. And although being released from jail or prison may not delay you from living with an intimate partner, it may delay the onset of marriage because finances. When you're no longer incarcerated, it may be hard for you to get a job, and we all know that finances are the main reason why marriages don't work out. This is actually interesting because Cardi B's involved in a high-profile relationship with a hip-hop artist named Offset from the hip-hop group The Migos. Cardi B and Offset are currently engaged, and I assume they're getting married, so that's what makes this line that she mentions kind of problematic. But it was brought to my attention when I talked about this topic with other people that celebrities don't really deal with crime or imprisonment the same way that other people do. And to that point, I have to mention Meek Mill. Meek Mill is a popular hip-hop artist right now who is undergoing a controversial arrest. And the reason why Meek Mill has been incarcerated, a lot of people argue, is because of his past criminal history. So that just goes to show that celebrities can still deal with the effects of jail or imprisonment in the same way that non-celebrities do. So that wraps it up for part 1 of this discussion of popular songs from Cardi B's album, Invasion of Privacy. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.
K3mistry Productions.